Coming up on Ability TV, we check out an Australian-first initiative making air travel more accessible for people with disabilities.
We want people to feel relaxed and confident that they can come through.
We sit down with one of Queensland's most inspiring young disability advocates, Finn Cole, for a very special open floor conversation.
And later, internationally trained soprano Janelle Cahoon performs the stunning Les Mis classic in the studio.
Welcome to Ability TV.
Hello and welcome to Ability TV, Australia's only television show hosted and crewed by people with disabilities. I'm Cooper and I'm excited to be joined at the desk by Jessica Gould. Now Jessica, this is actually your first time hosting Ability TV.
Yes, I heard that Ability TV was about stories of the abilities of people with disabilities, and I thought I have to be on this show. So here I am.
Now for people meeting you for the first time, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I went to film school and now I got a production company and I hire people with mental disabilities to make short films, and these short films have gone all around the world. Yes, I do acting in film, television and theatre. I'm a religious education teacher and I do so many things for the Salvation Army, including I used to be on a show called Agents of True, where I dressed up as a Tasmanian tiger and I danced around the stage. It was so much fun.
So Jessica, I don't know about you, but airports can be a very stressful place.
Oh, that's for sure, Cooper. Absolutely. The crowds, security, finding your gate, there's a lot going on.
And for travellers with disability, those challenges can become even bigger. That's why one Australian airport has launched something pretty special called Airport Assist.
Melbourne Airport is now home to an Australian-first accessibility initiative designed to help passengers navigate the terminal with greater confidence and independence.
Accessible tourism is big. We value it between $2 billion to $5 billion in Victoria alone. People are coming to the airport and they struggle to get to check-in, and then they get left at baggage reclaim, and then they struggle to get back to where they're being picked up from. So Melbourne Airport Assist was a program which really was designed to fill that gap, removing one barrier after the other. We needed to set up a program that had the right equipment, that was picking up people at the right locations and dropping them off at the right locations. Because we are the first airport, I think, in the world to do this, there's two groups of people that we work with.
So Travellers Aid's been working with Melbourne Airport since 2024. We had the opportunity to run a pilot program of Melbourne Airport Assist for 4 months. We assisted well over 8,000 people, and that really informed how we would set up the permanent program. We have a great team of people here. They can assist with power wheelchairs. We've got a buggy service, but also we just walk with people sometimes. So it really just fills the gap for folks with mobility needs, with families, permanent injury or a disability.
There's been 40,000 people that have used the service so far. We did a lot of work with GSA, sourcing our travellers with lived experience across all accessibility needs and really embedding them in the design of the program and what it looked like. So while it's been important to date within the terminal as it is, come October and the opening of Naarm Way is even more important.
It's a good experience to get involved with something at the very beginning and get the opportunity to put my feedback in.
Old Departures Drive is actually closing, and that is becoming pedestrianised. So that journey is actually being moved out to level 3. Pickup, that is being moved out to level 2. That will allow the expansion of our international terminal into that space.
We did 4 different journeys, and they varied from pick-up to drop-off. We had to find some different locations and some different cars, and we really got to try out that path between arrivals and departures.
When I was helping with the testing, I needed to look out for wheelchair accessible paths, gates, elevators and crossovers, for ease of access for all wheelchair users.
You know how valuable this service is and the impact that it makes, and sets the example, I think, for other airports and other precincts, not just in Melbourne but around Australia.
We've actually developed 2 brand new precincts for people with accessibility parking permits.
The experience was great. It is so easy to book and accessible car parks and easy to use.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. With the longer walk, they're going to ensure that there's access and additional assistance.
Clear signage is good for everyone, not just people like me, but for everyone.
So there's 22 hours of human support. That includes both the buggy service, powered wheelchair service, and our volunteers in the pink jackets also helping.
It's really great to know that that was their first thought and not an afterthought. I think that's really important with disability access.
That really shows how thoughtful accessibility can make a difference in everyday life.
A huge thank you to the Melbourne Airport for launching the program and for giving us a behind-the-scenes look. Still to come on Ability TV, blind soprano Janelle Cahoon performs in the studio.
But up next, we head to the open floor with disability advocate Finn Cole as he shares his story, his goals and why accessibility matters. You're watching Ability TV.
Season 3 of Ability TV is proudly produced in partnership with Rope Disability Services. We are also proud to recognise our content partners, Melbourne Airport, SYC, Travellers Aid, Dreamworld and Voice at the Table, along with our story partners, Brisbane Airport, Skate Advantage and Travel Without Limits. Together, these organisations are helping us create more opportunities, tell more inclusive stories and shine a light on Australia's disability community. Want to help us tell the next story? Visit abilitv.com.au and request a partnership prospectus.
You're watching Ability TV, the only show in Australia hosted and crewed by people with disabilities. We've got some incredible stories coming up this season, and if you don't want to miss any of the action, it's super easy to stay connected. Just scan the QR code on your screen. You'll find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. Hit follow, subscribe, or your call, but we promise it's worth it. At just 18 years old, Finn Cole is already making a huge impact in the disability community.
From advocating for accessibility in schools and sport to speaking directly with government and community leaders, Finn is helping drive real change.
He's also living with quadriplegic cerebral palsy and has spent years fighting for greater inclusion and equal opportunities.
So, for this open floor, the whole team sat down with Finn for an honest conversation about advocacy, independence, and the future he wants to help create.
So, Finn, we've got a lot of questions for you today. But first, for those who don't know you, can you give us a bit of an introduction about yourself?
My name is Finn Cole. I'm 18 years old and I live on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. I have quadriplegic cerebral palsy. I use a wheelchair and I am non-verbal. I'm passionate about disability inclusion, accessibility, advocacy, and making sure people with disabilities are not just included on paper, but included properly in real life.
You use a device called Bob to communicate with us. Can you explain in detail how that works?
For an interview like this, I prepare my answers beforehand. Otherwise, there would be some very long pauses, and people watching at home might think the TV had frozen. But in everyday life, I use my communication device, which is called Bob. Bob is named after Bob the Minion, because he is basically my minion. Bob works by using pages of symbols and words. I also communicate through my facial expressions, body language, and all the other ways people communicate without words. So really, I am practically bilingual.
Talking to new people and figuring out how much enthusiasm is needed are skills I've had to practice. How do you deal with communicating with new people?
One of the biggest things I want people to understand is that if you are talking to someone who uses a communication device, you need to be okay with silence, because sometimes the best conversations happen when people are patient enough to let me finish what I actually want to say.
If you could make Bob sound like anything, what would you choose as an option?
I do not think I need Bob to sound like a celebrity or a movie character. I would love Bob to have more emotion, more humor, and more personality in his voice, because I promise, I'm much funnier than Bob makes me sound.
I think you're funny, very funny anyway. Can you tell me about your journey of advocacy for boccia?
My advocacy for boccia really grew through my work with Queensland Education and the AVTs, which are advisory visiting teachers. Boccia is a Paralympic sport, and I like to describe it as a game of skill, strategy, and accuracy. It is one of those sports where you can look calm on the outside, but inside you are absolutely yelling at the ball to do what you told it to do. Boccia is designed to be accessible for people with significant physical disabilities. It is also an amazing way for students with disability to make friends, build confidence, compete, and feel part of a bigger community.
What is it like being a teacher's aide at the Merredin State College?
I have discovered that lunchtime staff gossip is actually very entertaining. A lot of people worked very hard to help me get through school and finish with my QCE, and I am grateful for that. But the truth is, a lot of the curriculum was not naturally accessible for me. I found it hard to make friends, and in my high school years, I had a lot of trouble with my mental health. I do not think that is only a disability experience. So even though being back at school feels a bit funny, I am proud that I get to support other students and use my experience to help make school better for them.
What are some of your hobbies?
I love getting out of my wheelchair and into the pool or the spa. I like playing games, including Roblox. I know, but I like it, and I am brave enough to admit that on television.
You initiated the Functional Market Day. What is it and what do you hope to achieve with the event?
I absolutely love the Functional Market Day. It is a market that brings together people with disability and the amazing things they create. You get to see how creative people are, support small businesses, buy handmade products, and celebrate people's talents. I think that is really powerful because people with disability are so often seen through what we need, instead of what we can create, build, sell, share, and contribute.
How did you get involved with working for the Sunshine Coast City Council?
A friend of mine invited me to come along to a Sunshine Coast Council All Abilities Action Plan event. Then he ditched me and went to the Gold Coast theme parks for the day. So there I was, at this council event, not knowing anyone, thinking, well, this is not exactly the day I planned. But it ended up being a complete game changer for me. People actually listened to me. I realized that my lived experience was not just something I had to carry. It was something I could use to help other people. And once you realize your voice can help change things, even if that voice comes through a device, it is very hard to go back to being quiet.
You won the Sunshine Coast Young Citizen of the Year Award in 2025. Amazing. Congratulations. How did that come about and how did it make you feel?
I was nominated because of the work I have been doing in the disability advocacy space, especially around the Functional Market Day and the All Access Days. It meant a lot to have that work recognized, because disability advocacy is something I care about deeply. Hopefully the future holds a job, a lot of advocacy, and probably a few more meetings where people realize I am not going away.
Finn, we very much appreciate you being here and we'd love to have you back in the future. Thank you, Finn.
Finn is such an impressive young leader.
Yeah, I found him to be honest, intelligent, and funny. Such a great young man. And what I love most is that he's not just talking about change, he's actively creating it. I can't wait to see what he does next.
I absolutely agree with you. I cannot wait to see what Finn gets involved in next. Finn was kind enough to give us plenty of time to ask questions, so if you'd like to see the extended interview, just subscribe to Ability TV on YouTube and check out the Open Floor extended interview with Finn Cole.
Up next on Ability TV, we meet internationally trained soprano Janelle Cahoon. Plus, Janelle performs a stunning Les Mis classic in the studio. You're watching Ability TV.
Every day I report the news, but this story, well, it hits differently because perhaps it's now that I'm a husband, a dad, and I think about what security really means for a family. Right now in Australia, women over 55 are one of the fastest growing groups facing homelessness. These are mothers, grandmothers, carers, women who spent years looking after families and communities. Many never imagined this would become their reality. That's why I've become an ambassador for the Forgotten Women and why I'm taking part in the Live Like Her challenge. I'm asking you to give up your comfort for just one night to help someone else find some safety again. Join me and sign up today.
This week on Travel Without Limits, we're heading to the Gold Coast to explore what's coming up at Home of the Arts, better known as HOTA, one of Australia's leading arts and entertainment destinations. Over the September school holidays, HOTA will come alive with Kids Take Over, a festival packed with performances, interactive experiences, and creative activities designed for children of all ages and abilities. From energetic sound shows to hands-on eco-adventures, there's something for the whole family to enjoy. Then in October, the HOTA precinct transforms again for Bleach 2026, bringing together artists, performers, and installations from all across Australia and around the world. HOTA offers a strong range of accessibility features, including lifts, accessible parking, push-button entry doors, wide circulation spaces, and a changing places facility. The venue also supports the Hidden Disability Sunflower program and provides social stories to help guests prepare for their visit. Complimentary companion card tickets are also available for ticketed events. To find more accessible travel ideas, events, and destinations from across Australia, check out the latest issue of Travel Without Limits.
Janelle Cahoon is a classically trained soprano who studied at the Queensland Conservatorium and has even performed alongside Dame Joan Sutherland.
After losing her vision due to complications from type 1 diabetes, Janelle faced an incredibly difficult period in her life.
Instead of giving up though, she reinvented herself. Not only has she continued performing, she also founded her own production company, creating opportunities for artists with disabilities right across Australia.
She's also become a champion blind archer, representing Australia and breaking records.
Ability TV spent some time with Janelle to learn more about her remarkable story.
It's a complete passion, you get completely overtaken by it. I won a scholarship to go and study at the Conservatorium of Music here in Queensland, joined the Australian Opera and sang in the chorus there for 2 years. Decided to go over to study with a singing teacher in Germany, joining the Frankfurt Opera, and also sang with the Darmstadt Opera and also sang with the Frankfurt Kammeroper. One of my big highlights was singing in the Australian Opera with Dame Joan Sutherland. It was her farewell season at the Opera House in Les Huguenots. It was just such a lovely lady to work with. At the end of my 7 years with the Frankfurt Opera, that's when my eyesight started to deteriorate. So because I don't do anything by halves, when I went blind, I went totally blind. I went through tens of thousands of laser shots and went through about 27 eye operations as well. I'd been actually told when I got back to Australia by a leading musical professional that I probably had the best voice in Australia at the time, but most of the doors were closed to me. There was one time that I auditioned for a role in an opera, and it was actually playing a blind role, and they knocked me back because they said I didn't act blind enough. I was angry, really frustrated, but that's when the opportunity to produce concerts for the Brisbane City Council came up. So my agency, which is a production and entertainment agency, is called Salubrious Productions. Something like 1,900 shows produced over the 26 years I've been running it. There was no other agency in Australia, or I think in the Southern Hemisphere, who were specialising in representing people with disability. It was a case of saying, I will give you the best person for the job, and if that person happens to have a disability, that's the person you're going to get. I was over in Wales doing an arts leadership mentorship. There was archery in the Nave on a Friday night, and I just went, that just sounds so much fun. Only 20 minutes drive away from me in Brisbane was a club called Samford Valley Target Archers.
This club, I think, would probably now have the biggest number of VI members of any club in Australia. Janelle was basically our first VI archer who wanted to do competitions.
I won the National Indoor Championships, and then I won the National Outdoor Championships. I was setting all these Queensland and Australian records at the time.
Seeing people who may have thought there were some things like sport particularly were out of reach because of whatever their disability is, and being able to help them and enable them to be able to overcome that disability to be competitive in a sport is very rewarding.
I mean, it's good encouraging other people to join the sport, but it's bad when they take your records. Being able to keep competing for as long as I can and keep on singing and producing shows. As much as you can be stubborn and push and fight for your rights, that's what you have to keep on doing.
Janelle has achieved so much throughout her life and done it while constantly challenging perceptions around disability.
What I love most is that she used her experience to create opportunities for other artists as well, not just herself.
And one of those artists, Jack Murphy, will be accompanying Janelle's special performance today on guitar.
Performing Les Mis classic Bring Him Home, please make some noise for Janelle Cahoon and Jack Murphy.
Like the sun I might have known if God had granted me a son. The summers die one by one, how soon it flies on, and I am old and will be gone. Bring him peace, bring him joy. He
Wow, what a beautiful performance. Janelle Cahoon and Jack Murphy, everybody.
And that brings us to the end of another jam-packed episode of inclusion, accessibility, travel, advocacy, and incredible artistic talent.
And that's what Ability TV is all about. Creating opportunities and sharing stories right across the disability community. If you'd like to get involved with Ability TV or learn more about our workshops, head to abilitytv.com.au.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Ability TV YouTube channel for full episodes, performances, and bonus content.
We'll see you next time on Ability TV, where ability shines.
Ability TV is created in partnership with Rope Disability Services and is produced by Trending Media Australia.